It's nighttime, and we find ourselves in a well-appointed house somewhere in the suburbs of America. It's been a long week, and a couple is desperately trying to put their son to bed so they can enjoy a small break in their evening before turning in for the night themselves. But their 3-year-old son, well, he's got different plans. He's being particularly fussy tonight and seems to have no intention of ever going to sleep. To his parents' eyes, he's just overtired, and they are desperately trying to convince him, even pleading with him, to just give in. But the kid, he doesn't give in. In fact, the more his parents try and calm him down, the more riled up he actually gets. It's gotten to the point where he's almost hysterical, crying, kicking. The tired parents are at their wits' end, made even worse when their child introduces yet another reason that he doesn't want to go to bed. He says he's afraid to go to sleep. He's afraid of the man who talks over his baby monitor at night. The parents take a deep, deep breath and let the child know that there is no voice that talks to him over the monitor at night, that it must have just been a bad dream. And even though the kid's not buying it, after another 15 minutes of protracted parent-toddler negotiation, the kid finally calms down and eventually gives in to sleep. The parents, weary and slightly beaten, emerge from the toddler's bedroom and plop themselves down on the couch with a very large glass of wine. They take the wine in big gulps and sit in absolute silence. That is until they hear a sound coming from their child's room. It sounds like a man. "Wake up, little boy," the voice says. "Daddy's looking for you." The parents burst into their child's room, where they find their kid now fully awake and crying. But there's no one else in the room, just a baby monitor with a man's voice coming through it. And not only is this mysterious man talking to them, he's watching them too. That scene I just described is actually based on a true story. Some of the small details I had to fudge a little bit because the parents in that story didn't want any identifiable information about themselves known. They were scared that the stranger over their monitor might be able to physically track them down from it. But the part about stalking their child over their video baby monitor, that's all true. This story is obviously beyond unsettling, but there's something worse than just the fact that this actually happened. It's the fact that this wasn't an isolated incident, and that there are actually worse examples out there. Examples of hackers yelling obscenities at kids through monitors. Examples where hackers are actually able to control the movement of a baby monitor's camera to track whatever's happening in a room. Unbelievably invasive things. And I know from personal experience that as a parent, it can be a difficult choice to make. If there's technology out there that will help you parent better, please bring it on. And if it makes your life even 5% easier, yes, please, where do I sign up and can I have 2 of them? The proof is that the market for these so-called smart devices for kids is growing by leaps and bounds every single year. It is a huge industry, one that some people call, and I kind of love this, the Internet of Toddlers. And it's not just baby monitors either. It's everything from smart milk warmers to a whole assortment of ways to monitor the health of your tyke. Which all sounds great, except, as I'm learning over and over again, any device that you bring into your house can be susceptible to hacking, which is something we're going to try and put to the test today. I've invited a hacker over to my house to try and hack what I think is quite possibly the strangest smart toddler device out there, the smart Onesie. Welcome to Hackable, an original podcast from McAfee.
This computer is on the job around the clock in case of attack.
Their principal target is you.
The design is complete, but will it work?
Shake hands with danger.
I'm Jeff Siskin, and I'm here, as always, with cybersecurity expert Bruce Snell. Hello.
Hello, Jeff.
So today, Bruce, we are challenging one of the most important topics facing our society today, the Internet of Toddlers.
Ah, of course, the infamous IoT.
Infamous IoT, which a lot of people don't know. That's actually what it stands for. It's been bastardized over the years. And in just a few minutes, a hacker is going to come over to my house and attempt a live hacking demonstration of a smart baby onesie.
That's fantastic.
It is fantastic. And so I guess before we get into the real meat of this, I'm a parent, though I'm not a new parent, but I remember being a new parent and before having kids, not knowing what a onesie was.
Right.
I know you have kids. Did you? Was I the only one who didn't know what a onesie was?
Oh, yeah. No, I had no idea.
And I guess if there are people out there who don't have kids and don't know what a onesie is, it's a thing babies wear where it's like a t-shirt and then it kind of like has snaps that do up over the diaper so that I guess the shirt stays on.
Well, just easy entry, right?
When I started looking up this, it's way beyond the smart onesie. We saw a couple of the things we saw. Smart pacifiers that can monitor the baby's temperature and then transmit the temperature to the parent's smartphone. So
It's not a bad idea.
I know it actually sounds kind of smart. There was this one's a little bit gross. Smart diapers that can detect I guess what's happening there, but also things like urinary tract infections. But also maybe you did this as well. Maybe this is too much information. But as a parent, did you ever do the classic bum sniff? With the baby. So I think you don't have to tell me, but I think this avoids the awkward bum sniff, which if you're not a parent, you would think is gross. Since you're a parent, it's amazing what you start to
because then
think
you don't
is
have
okay.
to do the quick peek.
I'm so glad to not be at that stage anymore. There was a smart baby rocker, I think one of those little rocker chairs that can be controlled by an app.
Okay.
So it can go up and down or left to right. I guess if you don't want to lean over and touch be near your baby, you can from across the room, or I guess across the world. You can be like, and it goes on from there. But it's interesting with this category, Internet of Toddlers. It's a funny name,
right?
A smart diaper seems like a funny thing, but when I actually think about it, given that most of these, maybe not the baby rocking chair, most of these are basically health monitors,
right?
Which seems like unlike your smart doorbell or your dog treat dispenser. Seems that there may actually be a reason for it.
Sure. I mean, I remember one of the big things I was just frightened of nonstop when, as a parent, was SIDS, right? I was just convinced that my baby was going to stop breathing in the middle of the night, right? And, I think I would have felt a lot of relief, having sensors that were on a onesie that would let me know if, my baby was still breathing. But I mean, the hacking side is interesting, right? Because you look at all these smart baby devices, and I'll admit, I do see value in, let's just say, a smart onesie, right? To transmit back the, temperature or heartbeat or whatever. But that doesn't necessarily need to be connected to the cloud. That's where it just starts getting dodgy.
Well, one of the things is we were researching this show, we came across a writer named Jake Swearington, who's a tech writer who writes for New York Magazine, and he recently became a new dad, and so he did what any good tech writer would do in recently becoming a dad, and he took this as an opportunity to review a bunch of smart baby products.
Excellent.
Our story producer, Pedro Mendez, chatted with Jake about his experiences, and I want to play that for you now.
It's 3 a.m. You have been struggling to get your newborn to sleep for over an hour. She finally just stopped crying and fussing. You slowly, carefully creep out of her room like a ninja. You lie down on your own bed and soak in the peace and quiet. But isn't it too quiet? Why isn't she making any noise? Is she okay? What if she rolled over? What if her head is stuck in the bars of the crib? What if she's not breathing? This is what the first few months of having a baby is like for many parents, including Jake.
My name's Jake Swearington. I am a technology writer for New York Magazine's Select All, and also the father of a 5.5-week-old daughter.
Jake recently wrote an article for New York Magazine where he remembers his first moment of baby-induced terror.
It was, within the first 4 or 5 hours of my daughter being born, I was extremely sleep deprived, and she was in one of those, clear plastic bassinets that you see in hospitals and nowhere else. And had been swaddled, and her feet were sort of slightly above her head. And I just had this sort of thought hit me that wait, are her feet supposed to be higher than her head, or isn't her head supposed to be higher than her feet, or what was the deal?
Being a tech guy, Jake thought that maybe he could calm his nerves by turning his daughter into a smart baby. He would test out a range of smart monitors to assuage his anxiety. He started by putting a smart baby sock around his daughter's foot. It measures heart rate and blood oxygen levels, and then sends that info via a base station to your phone. If the sock decides something's not right, your phone starts to buzz.
It mostly worked in my experience. I mean, I think that one of the things that's tough in testing these, I'm not going to, deliberately lower the heart rate of my kid just to, make sure that these things are working.
The sock seemed to do the job, but Jake wanted more reassurance. He removed the sock and tried another smart baby product instead. This one looked like a small disc that he attached to his baby's onesie near her chest. This button measures a baby's breathing and, tapping into another great fear about newborns, if the baby has turned over onto its stomach.
For the most part, I liked it. And that said, it did give me one false alarm where I was watching my daughter as she was just sort of sitting in her bassinet, and it said she had flipped over to her stomach, and I was watching her the whole time, and she was very much on her back. So that was frustrating. That said, if it had happened during the night, I may not have been so blasé about it.
In a sleep-deprived state, Jake attempted one more smart test. Ditching the smart button, he clipped a small monitor that looks like a pager onto his daughter's diaper. It measures breathing levels, skin temperature, position, even sleep patterns. If something goes awry, like your baby starts to have trouble breathing, the pager will buzz to try to wake up the baby. If that doesn't work, an alarm goes off on your phone.
At one point, we had a false alarm. My phone goes completely red. It says, my daughter isn't breathing, and it starts sort of, putting off this sort of loud beeping noise. And the only way you can shut down once it's gone into sort of, your baby isn't breathing mode is you need to get out of the unit itself and power it down. She's pretty young, so she slept through this alarm going off on her body pretty easily, and whatever buzzing was supposed to wake her up didn't seem to bother her at all. But me having to pick her up and sort of, take off her swaddle, take off her hoodie, take off her onesie, and then get at this unit and power it down, that definitely woke her up. And, she starts crying. It's a scene. And I was suddenly very, very annoyed.
The promise of smart baby technology is that it will help parents do a better job of parenting. But it turns out in Jake's case, not so much.
The number of times throughout this whole process where I was sort of apologizing to my daughter, I'm sorry that I'm putting this thing on you. I'm sorry now that I have to undo all this and power down this unit that's blaring. It was one of the many moments that I'm sure are to come where I sort of felt like, oh crap, I'm being not a great parent right now. Because these things were to a degree distracting me away from what everybody says is really important about spending time with your kid during this early time, which is, just spending physical time with them, making eye contact with them, sort of being with them, which is also what right now makes me happiest.
So what advice does a tech writer have for other new parents when it comes to smart baby technology?
Having a kid is definitely going to inspire fear. It's going to inspire, a real sense of protection in a way that I've never experienced for anything in my life. And all these devices are going to play on that fear and that sense of not wanting to lose something really precious to you. But I don't think that at the end of the day, they can really deliver that peace of mind. And I think that if anything, they're just going to inflame the fear and that sense of anxiety of losing something even more so. I mean, I don't think that the people who make this are intentionally being predatory, but I think that the way that all this works is that they do prey on the fears of new parents.
That was Pedro Mendez chatting with Jake Swearington, a tech writer for New York Magazine. I feel that Jake has echoed what naturally at this point in my life I feel towards these things. Maybe my baby doesn't need to be that smart.
It's a difficult subject, right? I mean, I'm not sure exactly how I feel. I think there's a lot of inherent value in this information. But again, like we've been raising children for, millennia, and they've all turned out okay. Well, mostly, right? Most of them.
I guess this is something we could probably debate on and on. But I guess what we're here to do on the show is not debate the value of these things, but actually figure out, are these things safe and are they hackable?
Sure.
And in just a moment, Dola Farhi, who's a hacker who's been on the show a couple of times, is coming over to my house to see if he can hack a smart baby onesie. Personally, I'm just curious to see what a smart baby onesie looks like. I'm kind of picturing it's like an R2-D2 shell that you put over the baby and somehow all these lights flash. I don't think it's actually that impressive.
I'm thinking more like either like Tron or maybe like got a nice Wakanda pattern on it,
I hope so. Anyway, I guess I'm very curious because I'm imagining my opinion of these will be swayed because if it's hackable, not so cool.
All right, have fun.
Dola Farhi, thanks for coming back over.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
So today we are talking about IoT, Internet of Toddlers, and you have brought over a smart baby onesie.
Correct.
Okay, so we should just establish I'm not in the market for this because my kids are older. You, on the other hand, are on the verge of being the chief demographic for a product like this.
Exactly, yeah. I'm going to be a father soon, so...
How soon?
I think in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And perhaps by the time this episode airs, there will be a little Dolev running around. Do you know if it's a boy or girl?
It's a girl.
Hey, awesome. So you've brought this smart baby onesie here. I'm having trouble getting my head around it. What is a smart baby onesie?
Okay, so it's a regular onesie, typical onesie. It looks like a kimono, and basically it comes with a couple of components. The most important component is a little toy animal that is attached to the onesie and senses the baby. It senses movement, it senses the heart rate, and so on. You can actually get that data through the app, and then the app presents the data to you.
So is it like a Fitbit for babies, sort of?
Almost, except you don't measure steps.
I guess you wouldn't in the very beginning.
You can see the movement. You can tell when the baby is awake or asleep. You can tell in which position the baby is sleeping in. And you can actually see a nice little graph of the heartbeat.
I want to see this work. I don't have a baby, but you know what I do have, which would be funny? I have my dog. Do you think?
Oh, that would be amazing.
He's small. He's a Boston Terrier. I'm going to...
It's definitely going to fit.
It's definitely going to fit. He's going to hate it, but I'm going to try it. Okay, let me go get him. Do you want to hold on a sec? Okay, I need your help, Pilot. Come with me. Oh, I'm going to pick you up. Oh, wait, come back. Come back. Pilot, come. I'll have to bribe him. Sit. Good puppy. Oh, I got you. Okay, come here. Let's go. This will be fun. So I'm gonna try and dress him in the baby onesie. Oh, okay, you're gonna be so good looking. Yes, you are. Oh,
I think he's enjoying it.
I think he is too. Put the arms to the sleeve. Oh no. Oh yes, you're a very handsome boy. So my dog Pilot is now reluctantly in the onesie.
And we're monitoring his breathing.
Oh, you can see stuff already?
Yeah.
Oh, so what? So tell me, explain what you're saying.
Okay, so it says that he has low skin temperature.
For probably based on a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can see the breathing pattern.
He's also chewing on a bone. I don't know if they have a monitor for that.
Yeah.
Can you see his heartbeat?
There's like a breathing graph that you can see.
Oh.
And it says that he's awake and on his back. But that depends on the position of the onesie.
That's true, because I actually think I put it on backwards.
Right. I don't think he minds having that onesie.
No, I think it looks pretty. It looks pretty sharp. And so as a parent, I can go to the kitchen while the baby's in the baby's room, and I can tell
whether the baby's up or asleep, and what the position of the baby is, and breathing pattern, and you can get notifications. If you don't want the baby to change positions, then you can get a notification once the position changes. Like, for example, let's say you don't want your baby to sleep on the stomach, then you can set a notification for that. So you can constantly know in what position the baby is in.
I have to say, like, as much as that information would be amazing, as a new parent, that would drive you bonkers. Like, I think when I had my first kid, I was so paranoid anyway about everything, of breaking the kid.
Right.
I can't imagine having this much information.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I guess it's good if something goes wrong
having
and you
no
get notified.
information or too much, which one is better?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the deal. Knowing that it's possible to have this information.
But also the concern is you might have some false positives, and that can drive you crazier than just having too much information, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dolev, I know you're a guy that likes to take things apart, find out how they work, break them on a good day. So you
make it sound like it's an evil thing.
No, I think I respect the work you do as a white hacker, but I just know you, having done this show a couple times with you.
Yeah,
that's the kind of guy you are.
Unexpected things happen.
Yes. Okay. So you got this device. What's the first thing you found?
So the first thing I noticed is that the dock is, it's sending data to the cloud so that you can see it on your app.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I noticed is that it's not encrypted. It's
Okay.
not going over any secure channel, which protects it from eavesdropping.
Yeah.
So somebody on your network can actually see what's going on.
Okay.
Which is what encryption is for, to prevent people from, listening and eavesdropping on anything that is happening between your computer and maybe your maybe a website, or that's how we use encryption protocol.
It's basically a monkey business filter to really dumb it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for going with me on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's not encrypted, so you can actually see how it communicates. And the way that it communicates is that it sends a bunch of data that will not make sense at first glance.
Okay.
But on the cloud, they process that data and make it look a little bit more human readable.
Okay.
So on your app, you're going to see if the baby is awake and on his back, or maybe the skin temperature of the baby is low, and they make sense of that data that they get back.
Okay.
But on the network, you're not going to see that the baby is awake on his back. You're going to see a bunch of numbers and characters, and you're going to have to figure out what it means.
So you've been able to intercept all this data. It doesn't seem totally useful, because I look at that and it doesn't have the usability of your nice little cell phone interface. Where you can see the heartbeat and you can see the temperature. Yeah. This just seems like, probably not random, but to me it seems like random.
It seems very random.
Yeah.
But once you understand what the characters mean, you can actually understand how it's going to be translated to.
Just so I understand whether this alone is dangerous, you were able to find it because it was a device that was on your own network. But if you had hacked into somebody else's network, would you be able to intercept this data?
Yes, correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're getting interesting. Okay, so my dog is wearing the onesie. The one little animal in the onesie is transmitting information to the base. The base is transmitting it to the cloud. You're intercepting it as it's transmitting it to the cloud, and you on your laptop are able to see the string of characters that looks to me like random, but you assure me there is a rhyme or reason as to what this string of letters and numbers
and I can translate that and understand based on the pattern what that string of characters is.
Okay. So that alone seems maybe invasive, but doesn't seem like there's much you can do. Not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened next?
So what we can do is, since we now understand how the protocol works and how the little dock sends the data, why don't we try to send the data ourselves?
Okay.
So right now the dog apparently is asleep. Maybe he just didn't pick up the signal yet.
I think he's just given up. He's so humiliated about having to wear a onesie.
It shows that the dog is asleep and on his back.
Can I just add something in case anyone thinks I'm torturing my dog? That my dog is very good natured.
He seems very happy with the onesie on.
I think he knows that he looks handsome.
Okay, so what we can do now is basically I wrote something that does everything for me.
Okay.
And it will send a bunch of things and a sequence of characters which will freak out the app to some degree. Baby will change positions. The temperature is going to go low and high, and the heart heart rate is going to go high and suddenly very low, which is not the case.
Okay.
So why not launch the attack?
Yeah, let's see this. So the app is open on your phone. I'm holding your phone. I'm pretending I'm down in the kitchen chopping carrots while baby Huey is asleep upstairs.
Yeah, and you can see on the app that there's some breathing happening, and it's very quick now. You can see the graph going really fast, and the pattern changes.
Okay.
And let's disconnect the transmitter from the dog so you can see that the data is being sent regardless.
Okay, hold on. I'm just going to take the transmitter off. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, good boy. Okay, so there's no transmitter on there. And
you can see suddenly a spike in the breathing pattern.
Oh, so even though it's not coming from the transmitter.
And now the dog is awake and upright, which is not the case.
So wait a second. How did you do this?
I basically picked up the communication patterns.
Okay.
And I'm replaying it and I'm changing it so that it would look like different than the reality of what's happening.
So from your laptop, you're able to send this fake monitoring information. So I now think my baby's awake and in distress.
Correct.
That's horrible.
Yep.
And I think, and probably rightfully so, these devices play into a paranoia that any of us would have as new parents. And I certainly had as a new parent. And it's the worst fear of all. It's the fear of SIDS. It's crib death.
Yeah.
And I want to know as a new parent that these devices are secure. And I want to be able to trust them. And if a hacker is able to send me false data, suddenly all that trust is gone.
That's very true. And we, as a new parent myself, I don't feel like I'm confident enough yet, right? Because I don't know how it is to raise a baby. So I might be relying on a device to help me with that. What is my baby doing? How is it, how is it doing? Is it breathing okay? So I'm relying on something that can be unreliable.
And what's on the screen? What am I looking at now? It's just
right now you can see that the last time I sent some data, you can see that there was some breathing pattern, but right now I'm not transmitting any kind of breathing signal.
God.
So from the app perspective, your baby is just not breathing.
Oh my God.
But yet it's awake.
Oh,
so
I have chills thinking about, my fake scenario being down in the kitchen chopping carrots and having an alert like this on my phone.
Yeah.
It is the nightmare scenario.
Correct. Yeah, that's very true. And very scary as well.
And so, wow. Okay.
Now you see that the device still thinks that the baby is awake and there is no breathing pattern.
Oh. Wow. I think as a parent, I'm oddly emotional in a way seeing this. And even though I know that you just did this, seeing a flat line on a baby monitor is just the worst. It is absolutely terrifying. Thankfully, this is theoretical. And the only baby in this case with no heartbeat is the fake information you've sent. So I think I just need to breathe for a moment and go hug my kids, which I will do shortly. And can we switch to a happy topic, Dolev?
We can try.
Okay. The better news is in 2 weeks, you're going to be a new dad.
Yeah.
So, Dolev, I'm very excited for you to have that experience in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you're going to be a great dad. I'm sure if anyone gives you for a baby shower, if you're having that kind of thing, if anyone gives you a Internet of Toddlers device, good luck breaking it. I'm sure it won't take you very long. And keep me posted. Send me baby pictures.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Dolev. I appreciate this. I'm back with Bruce Snell, cybersecurity expert. So, smart baby onesie, I don't know if it's such a smart idea.
Yeah, again, it's it's one of those things where I think it's got potential and it's got usage, but I don't think I'd put my kids in it every day.
Given that, I think as we discussed before, I think there is some value to this group of products, and especially things that monitor health in babies. And if it can prevent SIDS, then obviously it's amazing. What can we do if we want to have these products to keep ourselves safe from packers?
Well, I think, this is always one of those difficult areas where, it's not something that you can load up antivirus on or anything like that, right?
Yes.
I mean, and if you can get to the point where you can, harden the operating system of your smart onesie, you're way beyond any advice I'm going to give on this podcast.
Let's assume you're a dullard like me. What can I do?
One of the things I think is if you're looking into something, make sure that you really do need internet connectivity, right? I mean, let's really think about it, as you look at, as you evaluate the device that you're going to buy, look and see, if it's web enabled, right? If you're seeing things like this device works anywhere there's Wi-Fi, access from anywhere around the world, that probably means they're sending the data to the cloud, and it's something that you might want to really consider when it's data that involves your baby.
What else can someone do?
Check and make sure that it's an established company that has a good track record of not having been hacked, right? Because
that's good advice.
You probably don't want to buy something cheap off an auction site, right?
Yep.
That's made somewhere in China or Bangladesh or something, and from a company you've never heard of.
Okay.
And then also, if you do go into one of these devices that does have an online component, make sure that you're choosing, a good, strong password.
Okay.
I always recommend make sure that you have a randomly generated password from a password management tool for each individual account that you have.
Okay.
All right. So make sure that this smart baby monitor is using a unique password so that if one of your other accounts is hacked, they can't use that information to log in and get the data from your baby monitor. And really, that's it. I mean, make sure that, you keep an eye out on the manufacturer website to see if there's any updates. Always keep your smart baby, your smart onesie up to date.
Yes,
right?
Well, for sure.
But yeah, and that's it. I think really this is one of those things where you have to channel your inner Scully, right? Be suspicious, be a little bit paranoid, and really evaluate how much data you want to send out to the cloud when it comes to your baby.
All right. So just so I have this right,
Mm-hmm.
if you want one of these devices, check to see whether they're internet connected. Web enabled has inherent risks as you're sending stuff to the cloud and it gets hacked. Also check to make sure it's from an established company that hasn't been hacked. And if you have to put a password in, make sure it's a good, strong password. Hopefully you're using by now some sort of password management tool that'll help you generate a unguessable password.
Right.
And then, of course, update your onesie.
Update your onesie.
Update
all
your
the
onesie.
time.
All right. Thanks, Bruce.
All right. Thank you.
I'm Jeff Siskind, and you've been listening to Hackable, an original podcast from McAfee. This episode marks our very last episode of the season, and it's been kind of an amazing season. We've hacked into car washes, we've hacked smart dog bowls, we broke into a car, and we hacked all of my dad's passwords. The good news is we will be back for season 3, and the very best way to get notified of when the new episodes are available is to keep subscribed to this podcast. And if you do, the new episodes will be delivered right to your device just as soon as they're available. And in the meantime, don't be a stranger. You can get in touch with us through our website at hackablepodcast.com, or alternately, you can hit up Bruce or I on Twitter, and you can find me on Twitter at Jeff Siskind, and Jeff is spelled with a G, or you can find Bruce on Twitter at Bruce Snell. Thanks so much for listening. It's been a great season.